What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're going to talk about the why of fishing. I got a recommendation about this from a viewer of the YouTube channel and a follower on Instagram, and really I'm just going to talk about why I use the stuff I use. So let's hop into it. As you can see, we're going to be talking about why I choose the rods and reels I use. So stick around, stay tuned, hit that like and subscribe. It really helps me out. But let's get into why I use these rods and reels. So first off, I'm going to just give y'all guys a rundown of kind of the rods and reels I use. I use mainly Shimano reels, and I use Duckett rods. I've got a few other spinning rods that are not Ducketts, but I mainly use Duckett Pro Series rods. That's pretty much all I have. So we'll dive into these. Let's see. We'll start with our spinning rods because we only have, I think I've got about 5 spinning rods, and then I've got, about 10 or 11 bait casters, and that's what I use on the road traveling to different Major League Fishing tournaments, and that's the ones I use around the house, and I've had them for about a year now, and they've done excellent, and I haven't actually broke any. I had one break at the rod tip when it was getting delivered to the house, and that's the only mistake that we've had with any rods. So we'll dive into the spinning rods first. I'm just going to start picking these up and giving y'all a rundown of what they are and why I use them, and give y'all what baits I throw on them and stuff. As you can see here, this is a little Zoom Fluke. This is actually for a drop shot. I've just got my little weight down here. This is a 7-1 medium with a Daiwa Revros on it. This is an excellent rod for drop shotting. I think the rod is about $180. I do spend the money to get the nice rod here. The rod is $180. I think this reel right here, it's a 2500 size Daiwa Revros. These reels have been just absolutely amazing. There is no other reel that I've found for this price range that can be anywhere near this good. I mean, I promise you, I have put these through the test. I've been fishing with these since, I'm 21. I've had these reels since I was like 17, 18 years old, and they have just never let me down. The old ones looked a little bit different. I got my first one actually at the beach, and I took it saltwater fishing, brought it back home, and it's kept working for a couple of years, and it's probably still working. I actually sold it, and I bet you the guy who I sold it to is still using it, and it is working strong. But this is just 10-pound braid right here to, I think this is an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. I go different on all my line and stuff. We'll get into another Y series on fishing line later on, but this is a 2500 size reel, 7-1 medium rod, Duckett Pro Series, and this is just my drop shot rod mainly. I like that little bit longer rod when I'm drop shotting. It just seems like it really sets the hook and fights the fish a lot better. I've tried using one of the 6/8 medium heavies, but it just doesn't seem to work as good. I like that longer rod. I'm a big drop shot person. I almost have one tied on 24/7 whether I'm fishing in 3 foot of water or whether I'm fishing 25 foot offshore. I'm still got a drop shot on. But I also throw, certain swim baits on this. I'll throw hair jigs and things like that, little small ones like marabou hair jigs, black and brown. I throw those. That's what we use a little bit of our lakes for. I'll throw a Ned rig every now and then if I'm wanting to cast a Ned rig, about 40 or 50 feet. If I'm wanting to cast it really far, I'll throw a Ned rig. But I think a spinning rod, you can kind of get away with a lot. You can get one spinning rod and pretty much throw every bait on it that you could possibly imagine. I mean, spinning rods aren't as different as bait casters, where you have a bait caster that's a medium versus a heavy. Those have a lot of range, whereas a spinning rod, a 7-1 medium, in my opinion, you could get this one rod and this one reel and you could fish for anything you want. I mean, no joke, I've caught bluefish in the ocean with this, and then taken it and caught largemouth bass and smallmouth bass with it. So that is this rundown of the 7-1 medium. This is an excellent rod, so just check it out if you want to. I'll actually leave all the links of the items and stuff in the description of the rods and reels, and certain things that I talk about in this video. And this is the Y series of the rods and reels, so I'll leave all that in the description and the links below of where to pick it up and stuff. I'll order most of my stuff from Tackle Warehouse. But anyways, that's a 7-1 medium. Moving on to, let's see if I can get these. They're tangled up. Oh, of course, they're always tangled up. But anyways, this is actually a Walmart Shimano Sienna. Yes, I said that right. A Walmart reel. This reel is like 30 bucks. It's super cheap and it works excellent. I just fished with this. I bought it, I think I bought this reel a couple of months ago because I really needed a spinning reel. And yeah, everybody's like, oh, you need a $200 reel. No, you don't. I fished a tournament, a BFL, finished 30th, and I used this reel just about the whole time I was out there. So this is a 6/8 medium. I've also thrown a drop shot on this, but actually I have just a little Damiki rig. I was fishing on bridges and stuff. This thing works excellent for flipping around cover with like wacky rigs and Nico rigs and things. I really like it for that. I use mainly this like if I need to skip little wacky rigs and baits, and I mean I'll even throw little tiny Texas rig worms on this if I need to throw those up underneath docks or skip it around, or just trees, docks, trees, I don't know, buoys. We have a lot of different type of structure. Rocks, we have little like slate rocks that fish will get up under, in and around, but I use that for this. I throw a lot of different things on this too. I mean, my spinning rods, I'm gonna be honest, I just kind of tie on whatever it feels like I want to throw. It's kind of not any set standard pattern for each rod and reel. Most of my reels are 2500. I think I have one 3000 over here, but this is a Duckett Pro Series again. This is the 6/8 medium. It's excellent also. It's got a lot more backbone than it seems like than the 7/1 medium. They both say they're a medium, but it feels like the 6/8 just, has a little bit less give than the 7/1. I don't know if it's just because it's so much shorter, but these are excellent rods. So this is your 6/8 medium. Moving on to the next one, I actually have another 6/8 medium here, another Damiki rig. Been fishing offshore, but we'll talk about this reel. This is a new reel by Shimano. It's a 2500 Shimano Neck Save. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not exactly sure. It's an excellent reel too. I bought it. It was like 50 bucks from Walmart. I know I spend a lot of money at Walmart on fishing reels, which is just sounds crazy for somebody who's a more serious tournament angler, but yes, I do. So for those of you out there, you don't need, a $200 Shimano Vanford, to go catch bass. These work excellent. The drag, you can hear that, and I can feel it. It's super smooth. The handles are great. It's not going to break, and you can really just wear these things out, and they're not going to tear up on you. They're good for the money. It's the same price as the Revros, so I guess it's a very good competitor. This is a Daiwa here with the yellow and gold one, and then the blue one and white one here. This is a Shimano. These are about the same type of reels, both $50, both excellent. Moving on to the next one. This is actually one of the few rods that I have that isn't a Duckett. This is a 13 Fishing Defy Black. I saw this reel in a Dix one day, and I just fell in love instantly. I mean, this is an excellent reel. This is another one of those that I use for drop shotting. I use this for a lot of things because I really, really just love to have this rod and reel in my hand. This is actually a little bit more expensive rod, or a little bit more expensive reel, a less expensive rod. The Pro Series are 180s. This rod, I think this Defy Black 13 Fishing, I know they've been really, really making some awesome products the last couple of years. I mean, I cannot say enough about this rod here. It is just excellent. It looks awesome and it feels great in my hands fishing all day. This is the Shimano Nasi, I think. Of course, everything Shimano has, it's a weird name. This is a 3000 size. This is actually awesome because it comes with the like twin grip type handle. It's a little bit bigger handle, which is awesome. I like that. I have, bigger hands so I can really grab that reel and winch down on the fish, when I'm fighting a big smallmouth or something. But this is an awesome rod and reel. I think this rod was $60 or $70, and then this reel is $100. I think I bought this at the beach. I think it was $90 or $100. And again, this is just 10-pound line. I use braid, 10-pound braid on all my spinning rods, and then I just change up on the leaders and things. But this rod, one thing about it is, I don't know if you can see that, but the guides here, they're really small. So you don't have very many line twists, and you can really cast far and accurately with this rod right here. That's one of the few rods I have that isn't a Duckett, but it's excellent. I just love using this rod anywhere I go, whether I'm fishing deep, shallow, anywhere, skipping docks, throwing a drop shot in 35 foot of water. Doesn't matter. I love using this rod and reel. But there's that one right there. So that's almost all my spinning rods. I think I have one or two more in the box here, but they're the same as what we talked about here. I wasn't going to talk about the same one. I have one more with a Daiwa BG reel on it. It's a good reel. It's kind of wore out. I've had it for a long time, and I've really used it in the saltwater. Mainly, the saltwater is tore it up a little bit. I didn't wash it and clean it as good as I should have. But that's it. It's still running. I use it a lot. It's a really flimsy rod because I've caught a lot of ocean fish on it and I've really just wore it out. But anyways, moving on to the bait casters. As you can see, this will take us a lot longer. You can see all the bait casters back here. We'll talk about the move from the spinning rods here. We talked about those. I know I went a little fast. If you want a more in-depth video on the spinning rods, leave a comment down in the comment section and I will actually go over each spinning rod separately and I will talk about which one what baits I use on which one, and I'll talk about a 30-minute video about 5 spinning rods if that's what you guys want to see. I know spinning rods can relate with you guys a lot more. Some people love to throw bait casters. I love to throw spinning rods a lot of time. I do like throwing a spinning rod and a drop shot. My last tournament, that's what I was throwing all day. Didn't even have a bait caster on the front deck. But anyways, let's move into the bait casters. It'll take us a little bit longer. There's all different kinds that we can talk about, so let's get into it. Okay, I grabbed this one first here. This is a 7.6 Heavy Ducket Pro Series. Again, most of these are Duckets. This is a Shimano Caius reel. This is an excellent reel, budget friendly, $60, $70 reel. And then a little bit higher end rod, $180, $190. I actually have a Carolina rig on this right now. As you can see, that big weight there, 1 ounce weight, is on that with a bead and a brass swivel and stuff. And then this right here, this is a 7.6 Heavy. I throw all kinds of stuff on this one. I know those are words right there upside down, but I throw all kinds of stuff on this. I'll flip with these. This is what I flip my creature baits and, half-ounce jigs and stuff up tight in the cover. I differ with my jigs a lot. I'll throw some of them on a 7.3 medium heavy, and then I'll throw some of them actually on a 7.6 heavy. So it just depends on where I am, what I'm fishing for, how big the fish are, and the structure mainly is what it is. If I'm fishing around grass, I like this rod. I'll actually throw some braid on it. But if I'm fishing around dots and things, I'll go down to a 7.4 heavy or a 7.3 medium heavy. I'm going to get all these tangled up. It's like tongue twister, 7.3, 7.4, 7.6. But anyways, this is the 7.6 medium heavy. I throw big swim baits, mag drafts, glide baits, smaller glide baits on this rod here. I flip with this. My Carolina rigs are on this right here. I don't know what else. I throw big spoons on this. My flutter spoons, I'll throw it on this. This has got 20-pound fluorocarbon to, of course, it's like a little leader for my, Carolina rig. But I throw tons of different things on this. Big jigs. What else do we throw? I flip, like I said, I flip a lot. I keep saying that. I flip with this reel here. I flip tons with this. Hopefully that truck in the background isn't too loud. But anyways, I flip with this rod a lot. It's probably what I mainly use it for. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that I use this for. Yeah, big spinner baits. If sometimes I have a 7.6 medium heavy. This is a heavy, but ducket rods, these ducket rods, they bend a lot further back than most rods. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's bending just a little bit back here in the backbone of the rod. And so with these rods, I know most 7.6 heavies are like a broomstick, whereas these, they are a lot more forgiving, a lot more sensitive than people give them credit for. I know people bash ducket, but they are excellent rods and reels, and they have never, no joke, people say they break all the time. I've never once had a rod break. I don't know if I'm just, babying these or not, maybe I don't catch big enough fish as these people, but these rods are awesome. And the reason I use all of the same rods and reels is because really, when I grab one off the deck, I like to pick it up and they all feel the same. All these reels feel the same because most of them are Shimano, and all the rods feel the same. If I'm picking up a 7.6 heavy, it feels the same as my 6.8 medium jerkbait rod. But they all feel the same in my hand. I know where to place my hand, and that's just something I really like. And of course, they all look nice because of the white and black reels. They all look good on the front deck of the boat. But anyways, that's a 7.6 heavy right there. Moving on, we've got a bunch to cover. Some of these are duplicates, so I won't talk about them. I won't talk about the same rods twice unless they have a different reel. But anyways, everybody loves throwing one of these right here. If you guys can't tell what that is a Spro Poppin' Frog. I don't know who doesn't like throwing a frog for fish, but it is awesome to throw. This is on a Shimano SLX. I could do a whole video on this reel, and I mean, it's just unbelievable what these reels right here can do. This is the Shimano SLX though. This is not the fancy one. It's a $100 one. I know they just redid these and made them new. This is actually the old version. I guess the SLX 1.0. Now they have the 2.0 in my terms, but this is a 7.4 heavy Chris Lane edition. I know y'all been seeing him. He's been crushing it on the MLF series, but this is a 7.4 heavy rod. This has got, I think, 50-pound braid. That's about as heavy as a braid as I'm going to go. Power Pro braid, a 8 to 2, an 8 to 2 to 1, I think, gear ratio Shimano SLX. Excellent reel. They're small, they're compact, they're great for, when you're having to move that rod all day and move that frog across the water. They don't wear you out. They don't make your hands hurt and cramp up at the end of the day. These Pro Series rods are just super light. I mean, they just don't weigh hardly anything. It's just crazy. I used to fish with really cheap stuff, and I'm not saying you have to have the most expensive stuff, because this by far is not. This is a budget reel, really. A $100 reel in today's terms is not expensive. Now the rod, $180 to $190 rod, is a little bit expensive, I know, but it's worth it. It is worth it every bit. If you're going to invest in a nice rod and put a Walmart reel on it like I have over here and go fishing, because the rod makes a big difference. When you are fishing, all day for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours practicing for tournaments, practicing for BFLs, or just fun fishing every single day. If all you do is fun fish, it's still worth it, because these rods weigh nothing. And when you're popping a frog and you're on a good frog bite for 3 days, your hands will not cramp up, they won't hurt, and you won't be tired of fishing after the first 3 hours of fishing. I used to fish with some cheaper stuff, like I was saying, and the rods felt like they weighed 2 pounds in my hand. It felt like I was just working something for an hour, and it felt like I had been fishing for a week straight for tuna offshore is what it felt like. It was horrible, but I invested in these nice rods, and they have paid off excellent. And this is the 7.4 heavy, like I was saying. Right now I've got a frog. It's summertime. I've been frogging a lot. Hopefully there's another car. I've been frogging a lot with this rod. It's a 7.4 heavy. Of course, I love throwing topwater. I love throwing a frog. I've been catching some big fish on this. But I throw, jigs on it. I flip with this every now and then. I throw swim jigs on this. I'm a big swim jig person. I love throwing a swim jig on this and the 7.3 medium heavy. This is a great dock skipping rod. It's a 7.4. I like a little bit taller rod. I'm a little bit taller. I'm 6 foot. So I like a little bit taller rod, and I really just seems like they handle the fish more, set the hook better, and really a 7.4 is not hard for me to skip. The reason I do have this reel, the SLX, I will say it's a little bit easier to skip than something like the Caius back here. The Caius is a little bit cheaper, so it's a little bit harder to skip. This reel though, it has been beat up. It has grass all in it right now. I really need to get these things cleaned, but it is just another excellent reel. And if you're getting into fishing, you really need to pick one of these up. It'll make your whole fishing experience a whole lot better. That's one thing I didn't do. When I first started out fishing, I did not, invest in that more expensive. I'm not talking $200. I'm talking $100 rod, $100 reel. I didn't invest in it. I was, $20 rod, $20 reel, just putting whatever on it, and it just didn't make it as fun as it does now with this nicer equipment. But anyways, that's the 7.4 heavy. Excellent frog rod, excellent swim jig and jig rod. So we'll get that one. Here's another one. This is the 7.6 heavy. I said I wasn't going to talk about it. As you can see, That's net bait pack a crawl on that. I think that's what that is. And this is like a 1/4 ounce or 5/16 flipping bait. You can see that right there. That's this 7/6 heavy, like I was saying. Flipping, flipping, flipping. We like to throw something on this. It is flipping into trees, flipping into cover, flipping under docks, something like that. But there's that rod again. Okay, so we're getting over to a little bit different type of rod. This is a 7.3 medium heavy. This is actually a new popper I just picked up, and I'll go over baits. I'll have a Y series on baits also, but that's just a little popper there. I've been throwing that on this 7.3 medium heavy. So the 7.3 medium heavy, it's got a lot of give in it. It's not, you can see that bending back in the backbone here right next to the reel. Again, this is a Shimano SLX, but this time, this is the DC version. So this has got the digital chip. This reel is awesome too. I know I keep saying every reel's awesome, but really, these rods and reels are awesome. That's why I buy them. That's why I invest my money. I'm a construction worker. I invest my hard-earned money into these rods and reels here because I believe in them, I trust in them, and they have been excellent for me in my tournaments and my fishing, career. As short as it's been, my fishing career, they've been excellent. But this is a 7.3 medium heavy. I throw, smaller jigs on these, very light Texas rig stuff. I throw swim baits on these during the, summer when I'm offshore. I'll throw, very small A-rigs actually on these. I know that sounds crazy, an A-rig, but I'll throw that. I throw buzz baits. Every now and then I'll throw a frog, not often. I throw poppers, walking baits, buzz baits, a lot of things like that on these. I throw my swim baits, and that's pretty much it with these reels. They don't throw a ton besides topwater and jigs. So that's 7.3 medium heavy there. But moving on to the next one, let's see here. We'll get into a different type. Let's see, I think this is another 7.3 medium heavy. That's got a swim bait head. Haven't really been throwing it much. Another Shimano SLX. So let's get into this one right here. Okay, here's another 7.4 medium heavy. This time has a Duckett reel on it. This reel was free. When I bought a rod, it came with a free reel. This is a swim jig. As you can see there, that's a swim jig. Actually a 6-cent swim jig, one of my favorites, cut down. Got a pack of crawl on the back, or a pack of chunk or something like that. I'm not sure what it's called. 7.4 heavy swim jig rod. I think that's 3/8 ounce swim jig. Big old beast hook in it. You got to be able to set the hook. 20-pound fluorocarbon. There's that. Period. That's it. That's all you need. Moving on to a lot different type of rod and reel here. So this is a 7.4 medium crankbait rod. This rod, I'd take these anywhere I need. They're excellent. I love these things. This is a 7.4 medium. It's got a big 5XD on it, or no, yeah, this is a 5XD, 10-pound fluorocarbon, 7.4 medium, has a lot of give, and it's very, very sensitive, and it works excellent for crankbaits. I have 3 of these 7.4 mediums, and they work awesome. But there's that rod. I don't throw anything but crankbaits on it, anywhere from a DT4 to a 5XD. I don't go much above, 10, 12 feet with this rod, but there's that one. Okay, moving on to the next rod. Let's see. We'll go through the crankbait rods here. This is another 7.4 medium. This has got the Shimano Kais on it. They cast super well. This is 10-pound fluorocarbon. As you can see, that's a Rapala 10, not 10X, is a DT10, not a Rapala 10XD. That's a Rapala DT10. This is about the limit, on this that you want to put on this rod. If you go any deeper, you really want to put a, if you go any deeper crankbait, you want to get a bigger, longer rod, maybe a little bit more stiff rod. But anyways, there's that. That's another 7.4 medium crankbait rod. Moving on to a little bit of a new concept that I have. I've been playing around with this. I think I said this in my last video. This is a 7.6 medium heavy. Now this is normally my spinnerbait rod, my Megabass Mag Draft swim bait rod, my lighter swim bait rod. This is the Bass Pro Shops formula reel. It's like $100 reel. The reel is like $100. And then right here, this is a Strike King 6XD. The reason I have this bait on a 7/6 medium heavy, I know that sounds really heavy, but this is actually not a cranking rod. This is just a 7/6 medium heavy that's used for things like spinner baits and, you know, bigger swim baits like the Mag Draft and things. But it's because this bait right here, the 6XD, the Strike Kings, they seem to be so much heavier. I mean, it's like that bait is a couple of ounces almost. I know it's not, but it feels like it when you're casting on like a 7/4 medium or something. And as you can see, we have been putting in some work with that bait right there. The bill is all grinded down. This thing's probably down to like a 5XD. You got the hook rashes on it. I mean, this bait has been excellent. But this is actually on a 7/6 medium heavy. But that is a lot heavier rod. This rod is heavier because it really helps cast that bait. I mean, I'm casting this bait, you know, 60, 70 feet on this 10-pound line, which this reel, for some reason now, it will backlash short distances. If you're trying to pitch, it seems like it always backlashes. But if you're throwing really far distances on like lighter line, this is 10-pound fluorocarbon, it casts a mile. And it works excellent. Good drag. It's a 7.5 to 1. I know it seems fast, but I'm burning these baits down there in the strike zone. But anyways, that's something I'm playing around with. This may change back to being just a, you know, spinner bait and spinner bait and swim bait rod. I may hate this rod after, you know, I use it for a couple of weeks, but I'm playing with that right now. So moving on to a actual deep cranking rod here. Let me get these rods untangled. This right here is a Duckett reel and a 711 medium cranking rod. This is my ultimate offshore cranking rod. Of course, you can see that's a DT20 in, you know, citrus shad or something like that. But this is a, you know, 20, 30 foot crankbait rod. I've actually thrown smaller swim baits, like little 4.0, 3.75 like Keitech swim baits on this rod too, because it has such a good backbone, and I was really trying to stay off some fish, and it worked excellent. But mainly I'm throwing it with a crankbait, some sort of crankbait that goes, you know, anywhere 16, 20, 25 foot. I used to throw the Strike King 6XD on it. The Rapala DT10 seem like, see, if you put these next to each other, it seems like these weigh so much less than the Strike King. I don't know if it's just in my mind mentally that this is a lot lighter bait, but it seems like it is so much lighter in that just 711 medium, where it doesn't have that backbone that the medium heavy does. It seems like it just, you know, works better with these little bit lighter crankbaits, and it really fights the fish a lot better than the 7/6 medium heavy, which I know you're like, well, why would you trade, you know, the being wore out with a 711 for having, you know, lose more fish and less play with the fish on the 7/6 heavy? Well, because the baits just seem to work better. Trying to try something new, learn a little bit more with it. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. This will throw a Strike King 5XD, 6XD excellent also. So try this out if you want a heavy cranking rod. There it is, as you can see, that big bait, that big plug. It's been working excellent lately, and that's just a Duckett reel. I know this reel was another one of the free ones I bought. One of the rods came with a free reel. But anyways, moving on. Out of the crankbaits, this is another 7/4 medium. It's got a DT8 on it. So there's that. Not much different. It's 10-pound line. I throw most of all my crankbaits on 10-pound line. But this is another one. This is a 7/3 medium heavy. It's got 30-pound braid on it. As you can see, that's like I think that's a Yo-Zuri 3DB pencil popper, something like that. I'm not really sure what the name of it. I don't know if it's a pencil popper. It's some kind of walking bait. Looks a lot like a Reaction Innovations Vixen. If you guys haven't seen those, they're like a, you know, they were made and then they were discontinued, and they were like $100 a piece. People were selling them for, but it looks just like that, moves just like it, and sounds like it. But that's just 30-pound braid. I throw a lot of walking baits on this, smaller top waters. This is a fairly small top water, you know. I'll even throw big spooks on this, but I'd like that 30-pound braid. Not going to break anything off. That's a 7/3 medium heavy with the Shimano SLX. Moving into two different rod types here. So this is a completely different category. This rod right here and reel. This is a Shimano SLX XT. This has been one of my favorite reels also, and it's kind of a different lineup. It's beat up and stuff, as you guys can tell, but this is the SLX XT. I don't know if y'all can see that, but on the side there, it's got a little dial, just like, a lot of the other reels. Those of you who aren't familiar with Shimano, a lot of them have internal brakes, so you have to actually open this side up and then adjust the brakes internally, whereas this one you can adjust them, on the outside, and it also has your spool tension knob there. But this is a Megabass Vision 110. This is strictly a jerkbait rod. This is a 6/8 medium. It's got a fast action. It's 6/8 medium. This is the Kelly Jordan version. He also fishes, I think, on the MLF VPT series, but this is just a really short. I don't know if you can tell, but in my arm, it doesn't even come up to my elbow here, because if you're working that bait, you don't want to be hit. We used to fish with we used to fish with like a 7.3 or 7.4 heavy, or not a heavy. We used to fish with like a 7.4 medium rod for jerk baits, and see how it just hits you in the arm the whole time you're working it, and it's really aggravating. So I bit the bullet, got me a jerkbait rod, and it's really made me love throwing jerkbaits. I used this in my last tournament a little bit, caught one fish on it, and then switched to my spinning rods. But this is an excellent jerkbait rod, 6/8 medium, 10-pound fluorocarbon. I know I'm light on all my line, but it works great. This reel cast bar, it's only a 6:3 to 1. I actually bought this reel for crankbaits, but I changed it over because it casts so well. It casts in the wind, and it casts these smaller jerk baits really, really good. But that's a Megabass Vision 110. I think this is the 110 plus 1. But this rod works excellent. It doesn't wear you out. It doesn't leave a bruise right there on your arm. I mean, it literally, if you fish with a long butted rod in here, it will wear you out right here. It will slap against your arm all day, and it's so annoying to me. I don't know if it bothers other people, but it bothers me. Excellent jerkbait rod. But there's that one, and then I actually have this jerkbait rod, which I don't use as much. I use this for a lot of things, like, scroungers, light swim baits, every now and then a square bill or something like that. But this is a lot of more of my bigger jerkbait rod. This is a 7/1 medium. It's also got 10-pound line with a Shimano Caius on it. But as you can see here, let me get this bait off of here, off this rod. This is actually a Smithwick Rogue. This is a lot bigger bait right here. I'll actually undo this and I can compare it to like a Megabass Magdraft. Let me get these side by side. So as you guys can see here, I have a Megabass Vision 110, not a Magdraft. I don't know why I said a Magdraft earlier, but that's a Megabass Vision 110, and that's a Smithwick Rogue. So you see those side by side, how much bigger one is than the other. I mean, there's your Vision 110, and there's your Smithwick Rogue. See how much bigger the Rogue is, and it's a lot heavier. You can see those beads or those BBs or beads or whatever they are inside. They're a whole lot heavier, and it's a whole lot harder to work. So you need a lot, not a lot bigger. You can fish this bait right here on the 6/8 medium, but it helps to have that little bit longer rod. Even just jumping up to a 7-foot or a 7/1 really helps. But you can see the size difference of those baits there. But anyways, that's my jerk baits. That's pretty much going to conclude the Y series on rods and reels. If y'all want to see a more in-depth video of certain rods and reels, I definitely can do that. Just leave a comment in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out. I'm going to actually try to start this as a series. I know a lot of people might enjoy this. I always like, looking and seeing how other people set their rods and reels up. But anyways, this is pretty much everything. Spinning rods, we did those first, then bait casters. There's a lot of different types of rods and reels out there. Just try to fit the one that fits you best. You don't have to get Duckets. I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything. Maybe one day, if I'm a professional fisherman, I might. But right now, I'm not sponsored by them, not sponsored by Shimano. I just like the reels. I like the rods. That's what I like to invest my money in. But there's tons of rod brands out there. Find the one. The main thing is find the one that fits your budget. If your budget is $100 for a rod and reel, then buy one. that resembles these, in that $100 range. If your budget is, some people's budget is $600 on a combo, well, then you can probably get stuff that's a whole lot nicer than this. You can get the super fancy Shimano DC reels and things like that. But these are the main ones that I use. I travel all around Tennessee and North Alabama and things, and up to Kentucky fishing tournaments. But anyways, these are the ones I use. So they work for me. That's what I like. I'm comfortable with them. And that's the thing. I don't want to change now because I'm comfortable with these rods and reels. So just find what fits for you. That's the main thing in this whole thing. I'm just showing you, what I throw certain rods and what I throw, certain baits that I throw on each rods and reels, as far as spinning rods, bait casters, and things like that. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button again. It really helps me out. I greatly appreciate it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'm going to do some more videos on the Y series. I think I'm going to do baits next, so we're going to try the Y series of baits. I hope these videos aren't too long, and I hope you stick around and watch them. But anyways, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. The subscribe button really helps me out. I'm trying to grow a following, Make sure to check out my Instagram also. I post a lot of fishing content and behind the scenes content on my Instagram about traveling and, travel vlogs and things like that. So maybe we'll do some more of that in the future. I got a tournament coming up, in a week. I'm traveling to Nashville to fish in a BFL on Old Hickory Lake. So hopefully I can do pretty good in that. I'm sitting at 60th and I need to be in the top 45 to qualify for regionals. So that's my goal here. I got to get the truck hooked up over there. As you can see, I may go fishing a little bit later this afternoon, but these are my rods and reels. So hope you enjoyed, and as always, chase your dreams.